battle virtually has broken out in the skies, and the only person who stands to gain from it is you, the consumer. Airfares have been slashed by private airlines, and following suit is Air India as well. First, Jet Airways offered 20 lakh seats for as little as 2,250 rupees for travel till the year end. Then, all no-frill carriers, Indigo, SpiceJet and Go Air followed suit. Not to be left behind, the national carrier Air India launched special fares offering a discount of up to 40% on a one-way regular fare charged by it on its domestic flights. In fact, Air India seems to have taken the battle to its opponents' camps with unusual gusto. Not only have the ticket prices been brought down, travel portals also showed that Air India was offering the lowest fares on most of the major sectors. If we just do a comparison on that table, Air India is shown to have the lowest fares in most of the metro routes. While consumers are in a win-win situation, there are also concerns. Could this move hit the bottom line for the airline's profits? Especially of concern is Air India already floundering financially. Can the national carrier afford to act like the Santa in the skies? And remember, the competition is only set to get more bitter, with Tata Sons deciding to invest in a three-way joint venture with AirAsia, the largest discount carrier in Southeast Asia. For more on this, we are joined in our studios by Air Marshal Denzel Keeler, an aviation expert and former advisor to the DGCA. Thank you very much, Air Marshal Keeler, for joining us. Also joining us from Mumbai is Ashwini Kakkar, Executive Vice Chairman of Mercury Travels. Mr. Kakkar, I want to ask you, do you think there is a downside? Because passengers, flyers naturally are going to be very happy. But how is this going to affect the finances of all the airlines, in particular Air India?
Well, I think, the first thing is that the airlines obviously are trying to raise cash, and a lot of cash will be raised by this exercise. Jet Airways, for example, could raise as much as 600 crores of cash, and I think that's one of the key aspects of this. After Etihad announced that it was going to renegotiate the deal, obviously the huge amounts of cash that were going to come into the company are not going to come in anymore, and the airline thought it quite prudent to raise the 600 crores immediately and make sure that, for the next few months, it was in a very comfortable cash situation. Equally, I think what must be realized is that the lean period is coming now. And this lean period requires, the seats to get filled. Now, it's not as though the airline has offered all its seats on the aircraft at a very low price. Only 14 seats per flight are being offered at these low prices. And therefore, once the airline is sure that 600 crores is raised, once the airline is sure that, a reasonable number of seats has been sold, then after that, they're going to obviously increase the prices and are going to make up the rest of the thing as the time goes by.
Mr. Air Marshal Keeler, I want to ask you, as someone who's been advising the DGCA in the past, is it fair for Air India to also join this competition, because the others have worked out their finances, but for the national carrier, we've seen bailout after bailout? As a taxpayer, I'm concerned. Right now, I might be happy with low airfares on Air India, but tomorrow, the money will go out of my pocket by way of a bailout.
Well, every 5 years, we've been bailing out Air India, and I'm not surprised that we will be doing it. I won't be surprised if we'll be doing it again every time it occurs. Now, the point is this, that they have nothing to lose, because they had 19% of the passenger percentage. Now they're down to less than 6-7, and they have to fight their way back again. And by lowering the fare to such a level, they are destabilizing the situation. The main thing is that the airline have such a small 3% margin that any destabilization may profit or benefit one person, but the other less strong airlines will get seriously affected. So this destabilization, which is now going to take place, with everyone trying to compete and everyone trying to lower their fare, they themselves are going to go below their operating costs.
In fact, that question I want to ask Ashwini Kakkar, isn't there a fear that if this kind of competition, because there are only so many flyers and everyone is trying to get a slice of the pie, is there a fear that some more of these low-cost carriers could end up like Kingfisher?
No, definitely not. I think this will only stimulate demand. If you look at the demand for the last quarter of 2012, the demand actually came downwards. and that is a bad situation for all airlines put together. I think if the demand goes up by a steady 15 to 20% per annum, and quarter to quarter it shows the same kind of trend, then the airlines are going to do a lot better. Now clearly there are some structural problems which need to be solved by the government. You know, for example, taxes on air turbine fuel, infrastructure charges, the greed of the airport operators, and the double triple taxes that are being put on all of these things. But apart from that, if you look, only 14 seats per flight have been offered by Jet Airways. Now the average aircraft has around 150 seats. So the rest of the seats are going to be sold at higher prices. And as the travel date comes closer and closer, you'll find the fares that will keep on rising. So it's, and as I said, this is the lean period for travel. This quarter, what happens is that all the international travelers who come to India, the visitors, stop coming by around middle of March. And after that, the number of travelers falls quite drastically. And this will ensure that the flights remain reasonably full. The seat load factors will still be in the 90 to 95% range. And with those kind of seat load factors, the airlines will make money on any day.
Alright, so you're saying it's a smart strategy where you're actually boosting occupancy. Remember, it's only 70% occupancy that on an average a flight has. Mr. Kakkar, Air Marshal Keeler, just stay on with us for a minute, because let's also listen to the people who have been most affected by these offers, and none of them seem to be complaining as of now. We're talking about the consumer, we're talking about you. These are few of the voices we picked up.
I'm happy that fare has been slashed, because now train fare is, first AC is 4,400 like that, and now it is 3,200, 3,300 like that for Calcutta, Delhi. So we are planning to go to Delhi and come back also, and it is saving the time also.
I heard that the fares now slashed, but whenever I'm calling the airline office or something for the tickets, they are saying, telling me that the tickets are not available. When I need in urgent, the tickets are not available, but they are giving me the tickets after 15 or 20 days.
Air Marshal Keeler, I want to give the final word to you. What's the catch? Because all of this seems too good to be true. As someone who knows the aviation industry inside out, what's the catch?
Like this, if you keep low fares, then a large number of people who normally travel by train will travel by air. The moment the fares go up, which has happened recently in this year, a large number of people who usually travel by air have gone away, and that is how the whole thing has dropped. And you will have to go back on cheap fares, which affects the airline adversely. So how you balance the cheap fare with having a high load factor is an essential thing in order for the airline to, for the strategy of the airline to work. And that's the only way it will work, because you have to keep fares low to attract the people who are traveling by train. This man who just came on, the gentleman who came on, he himself said, now I don't have to go by train, I can go back by air. So this is a very vital strategy for the cheap economic airlines. And if it's disturbed as it was before, naturally the traffic will go down.
Alright, so it's what the nano did to the car market, these low-cost carriers and these slashed fares are doing for airlines. A final word from you, Ashwini Kakkar. How do you see the market changing after the joint venture between Air Asia and Tata? Do you think that the price wars are only going to get more predatory?
Well, I think, this is a very interesting period in the life of this country, and how all these airline wars will play themselves out. But it is interesting also to note that, 26th of February is the rail budget. The rail fares are expected to go upwards, after the recent increase. This is going to be the second increase. And in that kind of scenario, obviously there are 5 billion rail tickets sold in a year, and I think some of those travelers, even if it's a very small percentage of travelers, will opt to go with airlines. And if you look at the entire Indian aviation space, only 400 or thereabouts aircraft fly in the Indian space, and that was with Kingfisher. So if you take out the Kingfisher aircraft, it's even lower. And compare that to the United States, where there's 6,000 aircraft flying in the skies of the United States, or about half that number flying in China. So I think we have ways to go before our economy is as developed in terms of the aviation sector.
All right, Ashwini Kakkar, you're happy with the development. So are the people who are now looking forward to flying at a much lower rate. Thank you very much for joining us, Ashwini Kakkar, and thank you also, Air Marshal Denzel Keeler, for joining us here in our studios.